Good afternoon, Dr. Catherine, and how are you today?
Hi, Paul. Well, I'm keeping cool because anybody who's listening to this will know that London has been suffering a mega heat wave. But I'm very lucky. I live in a building with very thick red bricks that insulates me from the heat and from the cold.
Brilliant.
So very much in your park.
Yes.
Yes.
Insulation.
Yeah.
It's a big word in our world as such. It has been significantly hot, hasn't it? The last, and you know, I've had quite a few conversations this week, and everyone says these are messages regarding climate change, and this is a sign, basically.
Absolutely. I think once it becomes a reality, people recognize the sign.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So, Dr. Catherine, I'm going to keep calling you Dr. Catherine because you are the doctorate in my world. So, Catherine, I will drop it every now and then. But, Catherine, we met, and I will pick up on when we met. I was in awe of you. I think it was in 2019 we met at a LinkedIn training session with BNI. And I always remember it was a winter's day. You was there in this beautiful fur coat. And I was so in awe of you, I couldn't talk. I just stood there stroking this coat. Must have looked a right, what's the word, stalker as such.
Not at all. And look what a wonderful friendship and collaboration has ensued from that.
Definitely.
A really special one.
Yeah. And we then got back together through some collaboration because we was both BNI. I was looking after the chapter, wasn't I, at Kensington?
Yes.
And
yeah.
We found ourselves, we was the team, wasn't we, to help share the love of BNI and with the new people that come along, and we worked together.
We were the two grey-haired people in the group.
Yes, and though it wasn't always smooth, was it? Because we both used to fight to say the good things, didn't we, during their meetings?
Yes, we competed between each other because we ultimately we wanted to say the same thing.
Yes,
but it was who got it in first.
Exactly.
And yeah, so it was sometimes a little nudge here, a little nudge there. I never kicked. But
it was a bit difficult when we was online, though, wasn't it?
Exactly, yes. And it was always online, but you can still have the metaphorical nudge, so to speak. And I think we worked very well. We were a great pair together. I think we still are.
We had a very good success rate, didn't we? We did. Quite a few we signed. So anyway, I know so much about you, and for the benefit of the listeners, and this will probably maybe aired on YouTube, I'm reading your book, which we had the signing last week, which is amazing. So I've learned a lot about you over the years, and I'm learning even more about you by reading the book. So everyone needs to go out and read the book as well. So I know a lot about you, Catherine. So for the benefit of our audience today, can you tell us about your origin story and some background to yourself?
It sounds to me as if you should be telling the story, but I'll give it a go. Okay, I'm born and bred in London of French parents. I had the benefit of having a bilingual education, which set me up for life, really. Very authoritarian parents, both of them, and not always pleasantly so, but ultimately made me who I am. And by pushing me. And so I've now developed this amazing talent of pushing myself a bit further. As I get to this stage now, and having written the book, I've got to be a bit kinder to myself now. But good God, it's taken, all these years to do that. In terms of, so I've been a rule breaker. I went to a French school, the lycée in London, in South Kensington. I did the baccalaureate. And then I thought, even armed with the baccalaureate in my hand, I wanted to apply for university in England, where the baccalaureate in 1970 was not recognized. So I found myself in front of all these very eminent professors and heads of department, and having to tell them that my baccalaureate was worth a lot more than their present A-levels, but having to do it in a tactful way that would not alienate them. Needless to say, I got in, eventually did a PhD in record time, got the PhD age 23, one of the youngest in the country. And then I thought, no, I don't want to say my PhD was in literature. I don't want to stay in academia. I don't like it. I don't like the politics. And I went on from there really to, again, against the flow. I went on to try to join the corporate world, where I thought that the politics were more overt, and they are, by the way.
Right.
But I received rejection upon rejection on the basis that I was overqualified. Who can ever be overqualified?
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Ridiculous statement.
Yeah.
But lacking in experience. And that, to this day, I recognize and I admit, ultimately, by then I was trilingual. My basic language was French, and then English, and then I learned Italian. And being trilingual just opened the doors to my corporate career after that.
And that was the Italian that was the third language, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
And in the book, you talk about your English teacher.
Yes.
And that's what's given you your accent, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. So my English teacher, Mrs. Peters, Miss Williams, who became Mrs. Peters, spoke proper. And she taught me, like not just me, but the whole class, how to speak properly. Yeah.
And we used to call you the Queen, didn't we? Royalty.
Indeed.
When amongst us, well, I'm an East End boy, so I talk like an East Ender. You obviously speak, and you live quite close to where the Queen lives, didn't you?
I do. I've always lived in SW1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So for listeners, SW1 is in Westminster. It's where Buckingham Palace is. It's also where the House of Parliaments are. The Houses of Parliaments are. So yes, I'm right in the center. I'm very much a city girl.
So your first corporate job, what was that? What was you doing then?
Well, it's quite funny, really. I was working for a trading company that imported prawns, frozen prawns and shrimps from Thailand.
Wow.
And I knew nothing about trading. But my boss decided it would be better to have somebody come in who could speak languages. and teach them about trading rather than having a trader who didn't speak languages. And so, I mean, I didn't know what a letter of credit was.
Right.
I didn't know why you had to pay these people a certain percentage. They were called agents. I mean, I was so naive, it was ridiculous, but I'm a fast learner, and they were happy to give me a chance, and I just went on from there.
I mean, when did I seem to have read about you being involved with solar, which was triggered my mind.
Yeah.
Was that in France?
No, it was in Italy, actually. I had a conversation with a businessman, and it was just when the EU was deregulating and allowing financing the installation of solar parks in certain countries. And one of the countries was Italy. Now, Italian being my third language, as we've all heard, I went in for it. I set up a company. I made my husband a partner, and the person with the originated the idea, also a partner. And so we set off for Italy, mainly in the area of Treviso, which is close to Venice,
right.
To talk to owners of agricultural land to turn their land into solar parks. So the attraction for everybody was that it would be subsidized to a large extent by the EU.
Yeah. And was you successful with that? Did you manage to get some solar up and running?
That is doing business in Italy is not something that happens overnight.
Right.
Not least of all, the basic, shall I say, obstacle is to be a guarantee of the ownership of the land. And getting that sort of paperwork together is onerous and time consuming. You are talking to the owner, but somehow you don't get the proper documentation. Without the proper documentation, you can't put a business plan together. And so I was going through all that and that hassle. I mean, you know, wonderful. But, and then unfortunately I had to give everything up because I was an only child, and my French parents were falling ill, more and more ill. And I gave it up to become a carer for both of them.
Oh, that's a shame. I'd like to I'd like to see where that went, because obviously it is a very difficult industry, and when you're obviously looking to you know, the off taker, and you know, who's going to take that energy, who's going to provide that energy, who owns what, and how it's all put together. That's something I was doing in 2017. It wasn't straightforward. We never got any, you know, we called it getting the spade in the ground to start that work. You know, you have to find the connections, and then you have to get someone to take it on board. Yeah,
well, I mean, one of the reasons
it's made up loads of different particles, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And my Italian vocabulary went up no end. Cables, connections, all these terms, you know, that one doesn't use every day in life, shall we say. So my Italian vocabulary went up to the ceiling. I learned so much in terms that really were not friendly to me in any language.
No.
But unfortunately, of the three of us, I was the only Italian speaker.
Right.
So we really couldn't carry it on once I had to step down. I mean, a great opportunity, a wonderful opportunity. But, you know, life throws you these things, don't they? Both in terms of an opportunity and in terms of having to withdraw. I have no regrets.
So was that after Maxwell days?
Oh, yeah, that was after Maxwell. So it was in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
we can't have an interview without you mentioning some of the, I think every engagement we've had, which we've recorded, we've always mentioned the Maxwell days. Give us a glimpse into your time there, because that was, I've been reading about that. You really had to roll them sleeves up and get stuck in to fight and create your job there, didn't you? Even though there was an interview in place that created it.
Yes, indeed. So for the listeners, I was interviewed on BBC Two, on the Money program, and it was actually the first ever reality television program. So I'm interviewed live on television with the headhunter there, who was the facilitator, and the employer, one very shy, retiring, and exceedingly slim Robert Maxwell. Anybody who's listening to this, I have to tell you, I'm being completely facetious. Yeah. He was a beast. He had a very deep voice, and he was very commanding in the room. So at the best of time, it would have been a very challenging interview, but I think I just went for it. And
I've seen the interview on YouTube from the link. I was gobsmacked, especially the bit where he was trying to be a little bit, what's the word, cocky a bit. And he started speaking French to you, thinking she can't speak French. And you was like, bang, 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 bang. And it was like, it pushed him back into his corner. And especially, I think you said to him about his accent was very good. I didn't know he could speak French myself, actually.
He was an amazing linguist, not just in French, in many, many languages. He was an amazing linguist. Right. And he did have a good accent, but you're right. I wasn't going to, I think he was like preening to the camera, you know, I'm going to speak
of course.
French here in front of the camera
to a
British audience. And I wasn't going to be outdone. But notwithstanding that, out of the 3 candidates that were televised, the other 2 being men, I was the one who got the job. So I must have done something right.
Well, I think for me, he opened the box up, you put him in the box and taped it up, basically, from my opinion on that. It was absolutely, I was gobsmacked. And to see you, the young you, beautiful lady, you are beautiful now, but you was just like, you was the, as I could imagine, business women of that time, you know, and the way you was conducted yourself was amazing.
But you know, there were so few business women.
Exactly.
In that time, we're talking about 87. I mean, that job enabled me to break the glass ceiling, but there weren't, I didn't have many female counterparts. And those that were there, I joke, you really, really couldn't trust, shall we say. I joke and I say you had to wear a Kevlar vest because you never knew if they were going to stab you in the back or not. Situation has changed now, you know, 87 to now. How many years is that? I don't even want to count. There's more of a sisterhood. But that said, no, it wasn't. I wasn't going to say it was not easy because, quite frankly, I rather enjoyed the journey. It was just that you couldn't count on the support of other women in business, as you might do now.
Exactly.
Might.
So I would have said, right now, obviously I'll call you the Queen, but then I would have called you Lady Diana. Because that was you then. That was Lady Diana.
That was also the fashion at the time, wasn't it?
Indeed,
yes,
indeed.
Absolutely.
So Catherine, let's do one big leap in today. Yeah, you've written a book. How does that make you feel? You know, and I witnessed the launch and I could see it there. I witnessed it myself. But how did that make you feel on that day and getting this
Paul,
amazing book out?
You've experienced it, Paul, right? So I should ask you the question, really.
It was an awesome evening, and I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And it was really great to see you soaking up the whole atmosphere of everyone asking questions and the launch itself and signing the book. I could feel it, the atmosphere in the room, and you've got an amazing following that is real, you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I think, you know, I'm blessed. Don't want to bore anybody, but I don't really have family, but I have my wonderful friends and colleagues, and they were there. And I think there was an awful lot of, dare I say, love in the room, and warmth, and very, very authentic as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm glad you could join us, Paul. I'm so happy you could join us.
I was very happy to be there.
And you produced your own self-made video of the
event.
Of us together while I was signing the book for you. Yeah, it's great. All good memories, all very good memories.
Excellent. So let's talk about your mentoring and what you can do for individuals, because obviously you've got that vast amount of knowledge and experience and proven experience of who you are and what you've done. But you don't just, it's not about business, is it? The people that come to you, they're not just business people. They're from all walks of life. And you've done some work with the regiment, which is really great. Tell us about what you're doing now regarding that.
Well, I help people transition in life, I think is the way to put it. And so they may be indeed, as you've related, ex-military, transitioning into civilian life and corporate life. Or they may be executives, managers in companies wanting to go a bit further, learning new skills. And I help them with those, getting those skills, with how to communicate effectively. Simple things like how to ask for a pay rise, how to ask for a promotion, or even in some cases, how to say goodbye, present employer. So I help them communicate effectively with their peers and their superiors. And I love it.
And there's one thing in the book where you're talking about how to say no. And that's exactly what you're saying here, isn't it? How to say goodbye, or how to say no. I'm not going to do that piece of work, or I'm not going to be treated like that, or, you know, words around that, isn't it?
It is. And that's where it's got really interesting for me, because I've written the book, as you know, with the corporate world in mind. And then there are a couple of people like Claire Phone, who was there on last week, who wants to create an initiative to help women. I mean, I'm talking about housewives. I'm not talking about female executives. How they can improve their physical and mental health, and how maybe they can create boundaries within the household. So not just in a corporate world, and that's going to be a whole new chapter for me, or even a book to write about and to think about.
Yeah. So I like to just bring this in line to what I'm doing. So this, my whole podcast, episode 93, we are talking about, you know, the reason why I interview experts like yourself is because you've got all this knowledge that can help the energy expert, the individual, to become sustainable. And it's really important because, you know, there's not enough experts out there to go and fight and deliver the savings and the energy management and the renewables for the world, the planet, to be saved. This is what we're focusing on. And two, they haven't necessarily got the experience to take it to the next level. And I'm trying to give all these experts the opportunity to go to the next level of their careers, of their training. And as we know with BNI, it's lifetime or lifelong training. And I believe in that. You know, and if I can give them that snippet of knowledge every week, in things like this, I feel as though I'm making my contribution as well of paying back.
I agree. I totally agree. But the only thing I would say is you have to address an audience that has an appetite,
Yes,
that has an eagerness to learn and a humility to say, I need to learn. As long as you've got that, you can go, you and they and I can go anywhere.
Yeah. Do you think as the individuals come on, they don't know that they need that appetite? Do you think this will stimulate the appetite for them?
I would hope so. You know, one of the great Greek philosophers said, I know, I don't know. Yeah. And when people can find out that they don't know and honestly say that to themselves, yes, they can go on. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, you and I've done it, so why not?
Exactly. I learn every day. I've been teaching.
Absolutely.
I've been teaching myself Instagram this week.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole different ball game. You know, I'm 58 years of age. You know, and I'm not. And Instagram isn't about standing up there and making. You know, it's not for beauty looks and for tips. It's a platform that can be used for all aspects, and energy management. And what I'm trying to achieve is that platform. I need to be showing myself in all these platforms, you know, because there are opportunities for me to then sell the ideas of energy management, because we need to provide the knowledge for what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
So we've all got our paths to our journeys, and we've all got our parts to play. Yes. Do you have you in your past, do you think about the environment and climate change? I'm sure you do.
I do. I'm very conscious of it. I'm particularly conscious in my case of how much energy I use in my flat, not in terms of my bill, but in terms of what onus that is creating for my country. And whether my consumption of electricity is increasing the country's debt in energy. I'm ferociously conscious of that, and I talk about it to my friends, and I explain to them, this is why I'm switching off the lights now, and this is why not all the lights are on. You know, silly little things, because that's all I can do.
Yeah.
I'm not running a big building or anything. I only have a flat. But if I can do that, that's my contribution already. Yeah. And if I can also talk to my friends about it and help them see it the way I see it, it'll be, and they agree, that's already 2 households doing it, and then 3, and you know, and so on.
Yeah, starts to replicate. So we have a private joke together about cars, and I'm not going to share that today. That's a private joke. We'll always talk about it though. So do you still have a car?
No, I don't drive anymore. No.
Right.
No.
Good. I wonder what that car would be if you was driving a car now. But would you drive, if you had the choice of cars or getting a taxi or an Uber from A to B, would you always try to consider going electric? Is that something?
I do. But unfortunately, and I have accounts with different apps, very often the green option is not readily available.
Right.
So I might make that my first option, but then I've got to go on to the second.
You did recently get a electric wagon thing. I don't know what they call them. Trolley. Didn't you have electric? Wasn't it about a month ago you turned up for a dinner with some BNI people, and you turned up on a mobility?
Oh yes, well that was when after an injury. Yes, I was in a, as you say, a mobility type thing. Yes. yes.
How was that traveling around London? Was that good?
It wasn't something I really used on the pavements. The pavements in London are so uneven.
Yeah.
Which have resulted to fractures, which resulted in me having to have this mobility scooter thing.
Exactly.
Or mobility chair. So, you know, London is not well suited for those things. And you can't exactly do it in the middle of the road when you're being taken over by a Maserati or something. It's not safe.
I forget you live in SW1. So, Catherine, it's come to that time where I'd love to hear for you to give something back to our industry of energy experts, or if there's something that you can give back to our audience today as a takeaway.
My biggest takeaway is the one I applied to myself, is listen and learn. Be prepared to listen. And I mean, listen in earnest, and be prepared to learn. And that will open up a lot of doors for you, not just in what is called networking, which I call connecting, by the way.
Yeah.
But in terms of your own growth, your own self-development, and learn every day, as Paul does. I mean, he's just told us he does that. I do the same, and it keeps me young.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you know, I've just got off a phone call. I've been helping someone. I've been doing some coaching with someone, and he's in the regiment. He's doing the transition. And
you make it sound like a sex change.
He's doing a transition from regiment to civilization, basically. And it right, okay, let's take that. Yes, that change is significant in their lives. It is a change for them, because they have gone from this massive team that they work for. They work and live and die with a team. They're now, you know, the uncertainty that's around them must be very, you know, scary, because they're now going to go as an individual, and there's no team around them anymore. They are the individual. So that step they're going to be taking is significant. And we talked about that today, and we talked about the lifelong learning. And he said, oh, I like to learn something new every day. And I said, yes, because every day is a school day. That's one of my sayings. You know, you will learn something every day. I can guarantee that. And you once said to me about the listening side of it, and, you know, and you complimented me regarding listening. And, you know, yeah, be in the room, listen to someone. And it's 2 ears, 1 mouth, and use that in that correct proportions of listening to,
Absolutely.
you know, and learning.
Yeah. And it's, you know, once you've got the knack of it,
yes,
it's really not difficult.
It's so easy, isn't it? So easy.
And it can help you grow. It can help you help the other person as well. Yeah,
totally agree. So, Catherine, absolutely amazing as always. I think we've done our hat trick now of interviews and things. So it's been a really great pleasure. We wish you well with your book that's out, and I'm just gonna. So the book is called Stepping Into My Shoes, and you can get this book from your website, I understand.
My website and from Amazon. The only trouble is if you go on Amazon, it's twice the price.
Right. So go on to, what's the name of your website?
Okay, so it's Dr.Catherine Coaching.
Right.
Thank you.
We will advertise that obviously on our link. Thank you for your time. And Catherine, please stay safe in these times.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul.